Last year, 2023, around late July going into August, I became so sick to the point where I lost all function of movement. I was unable to move. I was unable to dress myself. I was unable to get up out of bed on my own. I was unable to comb my own hair. Whatever movements I was normally able to do in that season and moment, I could not do it. I couldn't move. I couldn't get up. My family had to really rally around me and help me with everything, right? My feet were swollen, my knees were swollen, my hands were swollen. I was just unable to move, unable to walk, unable to get up. And it was so sudden that people were shocked that I was sick. I went to the doctor. I'm sitting before doctors. They're running all these tests, all these blood works, and nothing is coming back. So they don't know what's wrong with me. And they're prescribing these medications and I'm relying on faith and what God is leading me to do. But they don't know what's wrong with me. The symptoms that I'm experiencing are real. I cannot move. I cannot get up. I cannot dress myself. I can't do anything. And no one knows what's wrong. And my family's panicking, right? Everyone is a lot of noise around me. I go to God and I say, God, what is happening? And what is the strategy for me getting through this in victory, right? God says to me three things. He said, be still, remember who you are, and remember who your God is. And I'm just here to testify that I remain still. I continue to remember and remind myself who I am in God. And I continue to bask in knowing who my God is and the God that I serve. I walked into the doctor's office like unable to stand upright. I'm like crouched over. My mom, my sisters helping me to walk. I walked into the room unable to move and walk and without assistance. And God did something so divine. I walked into a room one way, and then in moments, days, right? I get up out of bed one day and I'm fully back to functioning, moving, operating as I normally would. And this testimony is pretty long, but this clip is really to testify of God's healing power and to testify of what God can do when you are still, when you remember who you are in God, and when you really remember who your God is. So I went to work one day in faith because I really couldn't move, but I went to work just like operating in faith and believe in God. And I remember in my workplace, people looking at me like, what happened to Bianca? Like, I lost a lot of weight. I looked like I was dying, right? And I went to work that day, right? By the next time I went back to work, people were looking at me like, you look like yourself again. And I just, and it's not because I went on any medical treatments or anything like that. It was literally because I was obedient to what God was telling me, right? I remained still. I remembered who I was. I remember who my God is. I got up even when it was hard for me to get up, and I prayed over myself. I began to speak over myself. I began to call up every trace of infirmity and sickness out of my body. I began to decree and declare God's word over my body, over my health. And it was so much prayer going up for me in this time that I can't even credit it to just Bianca's prayers, but people were interceding, people were praying. And I was walking in obedience to really standing in who I know I am. So I don't know where you are in your life. I don't know what you're going through in your life. But the testimony and encouragement is that your God is a healer, and there is power in knowing who you are in God and knowing who your God is. It doesn't matter what the enemy is trying to do to silence you or to take your voice. The greater one lives inside of you. Greater is he that lives in you than he that is in the world. There's a greater one in you than that of sickness. There's a greater one in you than that of what the enemy is trying to tell you you are. There's a greater one that lives in you than what doctors and friends and people want to say and to accredit to you. It's important to remember who we are in God. And then knowing who you are in God and the greater that's in you, that power is able to navigate you through any and any circumstances. And that's my testimony, that the greater one is able to do what seems impossible, is able to move on your behalf, and is able to work in your favor and to bring forth the results and what you believe in God to do for you. God bless you.